In a moment, we will begin the listening comprehension section of the test. Read the directions for Section 1 in your test book as you listen to the directions on this recording. Section 1. Listening Comprehension. In this section of the test, you will have an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to understand conversations and talks in English. There are 3 parts to this section, with special directions for each part. Answer all the questions on the basis of what is stated or implied by the speakers in this test. Part A. Directions. In Part A, you will hear short conversations between 2 people. After each conversation, you will hear a question about the conversation. The conversations and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording, you hear,
I don't like this painting very much.
Neither do I.
What does the man mean? In your test book, you read A. He does not like the painting either. B. He does not know how to paint. C. He does not have any paintings. D. He does not know what to do. You learn from the conversation that neither the man nor the woman likes the painting. The best answer to the question, what does the man mean, is A. He does not like the painting either. Therefore, the correct choice is A. Now we will begin Part A with the first conversation.
Number 1.
Hey, you look like you could use a study break. Want to grab a coffee?
Why not? Life's too short to stay in the library all day.
What does the man mean? Number 2.
You don't know if Mary's going to the concert tonight, do you? I could really use a ride.
No, but I can get her number for you.
What does the woman imply? Number 3.
Daniel, is that you? Your hair's so short. I wouldn't have recognized you except for your jacket and glasses.
All my friends are telling me that. You're the 3rd one today.
What can be inferred about the man? Number 4.
The library's closed already. It's only 5 o'clock.
I guess with so few students around in the summer, there isn't the demand.
What does the woman mean? Number 5.
Do you think that Professor Monroe would let me interview her? I'm writing an article for the newspaper on campus research projects.
Why not? I mean, she loves discussing her research.
What does the man mean? Number 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just realized that I forgot to bring the headphones you lent me. I left them back at my dorm.
That's all right. I won't need them until tonight, as long as I've got them by then.
What does the woman imply about the headphones? Number 7.
You're joining us for dinner tonight, aren't you?
Oh, I'm really sorry, but I had the wrong date for my geometry test. I just found out it's tomorrow and I need all the time I can get to prepare.
What does the woman imply? Number 8.
Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any spare cash, would you? I left this morning without my wallet.
I just cashed my paycheck, so it's no problem, so long as I get my money back.
What will the woman probably do next? Number 9.
No way I'm going to be ready to give my speech tomorrow.
You'd better be ready. It's a big part of the grade for the course.
What does the man imply? Number 10.
I spent my summer vacation up north, in Montana. The view of the mountains there is so beautiful. I think it'd be great to live there all year round.
You've got to be kidding. I'm from there, and believe me, in the wintertime it's so cold out you couldn't care less about the scenery.
What does the woman mean? Number 11.
There's so much stress at this time of the year. How do you manage to stay so calm?
Well, the truth is, I only look like I've got it all under control.
What does the woman mean? Number 12.
What do you think? Should I buy this mobile phone? It has some amazing features.
Yeah, but you said you don't use most of the features on the phone you have.
What does the man imply? Number 13.
I just went to the campus bookstore to buy my books for next semester, but there were like 100 people waiting in line.
You know, you can order most of the textbooks online, and sometimes there's a discount.
What does the man imply? Number 14.
I was just offered that teaching job in Canada.
You've been talking about this forever. I'm thrilled for you.
What does the woman imply the man should do? Number 15.
I just ran into your brother a few minutes ago, and he was looking a little down. Is he okay?
Oh, he'll be fine. It's something about a good friend of his. The two of them just had a falling out, that's all.
What does the woman say about her brother? Number 16.
Excuse me, I think you're in the wrong spot. Professor Carter gave us assigned seats on the first day of class, remember?
Oh, right. I forgot. Sorry.
What can be inferred from the conversation? Number 17.
Are you feeling better about that summer job? You said it was really difficult work.
Yeah, now that I've learned the ropes, it's great. It was stressful at first because I didn't know what I was doing.
What does the woman mean? Number 18.
Peter had us all laughing at lunch today. I didn't know he was so funny.
I guess you haven't been around him very much.
What does the man imply? Number 19.
Why don't you all go to the movie without me? It's pouring out and I don't have my umbrella.
You know, I've got an extra one back in my dorm room. It's just the next building over.
What will the woman probably do? Number 20.
Do you think they could use any more help at the bookstore? I could really use a little extra cash.
No, afraid not. But you know what? I saw a new Help Wanted sign at the cafeteria this morning.
What does the woman imply? Number 21.
Well, 1 month to go till my trip to Mexico. I just need to apply for my passport and I'll be ready.
It took me almost a month to get mine last year, so I'd get moving on it if I were you.
What does the man mean? Number 22.
Oh, doing these lab reports takes so much time. I can't believe that they're only worth 15% of our grade for the course.
Definitely. They should be more like 25 or 30%. You know, I have an appointment with Professor Curtis during her office hours this week. I think I'll bring it up with her then.
What will the man probably do? Number 23.
Did you know that the bakery went out of business? I wonder if it has anything to do with that new coffee shop across the street.
I think so. The last time I was at the bakery, the owner told me that sales had really dropped since the coffee shop opened.
What does the woman imply about the bakery? Number 24.
You know, I grew up in a small town where everybody knows everybody.
Me too, and I couldn't wait to move to the city.
What does the man imply? Number 25.
I'm really sorry, but I won't be able to make it to your play. Do you know of anyone who could use my ticket?
Are you giving it away, or...
What does the woman want to know? Number 26.
I was keeping my fingers crossed I'd be spared till after final exams, but I woke up with a sore throat this morning.
Sorry to hear. I've been lucky so far. I'm usually the first to catch whatever's going around.
What does the woman mean? Number 27.
I'm thinking about taking a sightseeing tour on that ferry boat that goes around the harbor.
It can be a bit windy out on the water, but you'll get a really great view of the skyline. You can't get that on a bus.
What does the man mean? Number 28.
Wow. All that effort inviting people to audition for our show and only 5 people turn up, including you and me.
How are we supposed to know we were going to get our first snowstorm of the season today?
What does the man mean? Number 29.
If you're planning to take the train when you leave next Friday, remember that I drive right past the station on my way home from campus.
Say, I think I'll take you up on that.
What will the man probably do next Friday? Number 30.
I'm still having a problem with this lamp. Every other day the light bulb burns out. Maybe I should take it back.
Definitely, if you still have the receipt.
What does the woman imply the man should do?
This is the end of Part A. Now read along as the directions for Part B are being read. Part B. Directions. In this part of the test, you will hear longer conversations. After each conversation, you will hear several questions. The conversations and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Now we will begin Part B with the first conversation.
Questions 31 through 34. Listen to a conversation between 2 friends.
What happened to you today?
I went to the Bard Music Festival in downtown New York. I listened to a really nice concert.
Really? Whose music were they playing?
Joseph Haydn's. It was so beautiful. I was humming the music to myself all the way home on the train. What time is it anyway? It must be getting late.
It's 7 o'clock. Did you forget? We were supposed to meet the other members of the Computer Science Club this afternoon.
Oh, I'm sorry. It completely slipped my mind.
Sally was going to show me a software program she bought. I wanted to see it.
Why didn't you go?
Well, I was waiting for you, like we planned. And before I knew it, it was too late. But forget it, the concert was probably more interesting.
My favorite piece was Haydn's Baritone Trio No. 97. The baritone's an old type of stringed instrument. It's unusual in that it has 2 sets of strings. One set you play with a bow like a violin. The other set you can pluck with your fingers. The balance of the plucking and bowing was beautiful.
I've listened to several of Haydn's symphonies before. I have a couple of them on CDs.
You do? I'd like to borrow them sometime if you don't mind.
If I can find them, sure. My CD collection's stuffed away somewhere.
I wish I could get a CD of the Baritone Trio I heard.
Well, we've still got some time before the mall closes. Why don't we check to see if the music shop's got it?
All right.
Number 31. What is the conversation mainly about? Number 32. Why did the woman apologize to the man? Number 33. What is unusual about the baritone? Number 34. What does the woman want to borrow from the man? Questions 35 through 37. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and her professor.
Professor Robbins, today in class you said that polarized light pollution endangers wildlife, but I'm not sure what polarized light pollution is. Is it different than light from streetlights? I mean, I know that can cause problems for animals.
Well, streetlight's a form of direct light, which is different from polarized light. Let me explain. Light from the sun vibrates in all possible directions, but after it bounces off a smooth, flat surface, like water, it only vibrates in one direction, horizontally. The lights become polarized, and the eyes of many animals can detect this kind of light. They use it for navigation, to find a body of water for breeding or feeding. Unfortunately, they also get the same cues from artificial surfaces like roads or glass buildings.
So animals might think they're heading toward water, but they're not.
Exactly. And any surface that reflects light, cars, plastic sheeting, they're all a problem.
But there has to be a solution, right? Why not paint the road or something to reduce the reflection from the surface?
Researchers have suggested that. They've also suggested hanging curtains in windows or using less reflective materials in building construction. But even that wouldn't totally solve the problem. For example, if you have transparent plastic bags floating in the ocean, when the sunlight passing through them becomes polarized, it makes the plastic appear to some sea turtles very similar to the prey they would ordinarily feed on.
Number 35. What are the speakers mainly discussing? Number 36. What does the professor imply about polarized light that occurs in nature? Number 37. According to the professor, how do glass buildings affect wildlife?
This is the end of Part B. Now read along as the directions for Part C are being read. Part C. Directions. In this part of the test, you will hear several short talks. After each talk, you will hear some questions. The talks and the questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording, you hear, "Listen to an instructor talk to his class about a television program."
I'd like to tell you about an interesting TV program that'll be shown this coming Thursday. It'll be on from 9 to 10 p.m. on Channel 4. It's part of a series called Mysteries of Human Biology. The subject of the program is the human brain, how it functions and how it can malfunction. Topics that will be covered are dreams, memory, and depression. These topics are illustrated with outstanding computer animation that makes the explanations easy to follow. Make an effort to see this show. Since we've been studying the nervous system in class, I know you'll find it very helpful.
Now, listen to a sample question. What is the main purpose of the program? In your test book, you read A. To demonstrate the latest use of computer graphics. B. To discuss the possibility of an economic depression. C. To explain the workings of the brain. D. To dramatize a famous mystery story. The best answer to the question, "What is the main purpose of the program?" is C. To explain the workings of the brain. Therefore, the correct choice is C. Now listen to another sample question. Why does the speaker recommend watching the program? In your test book, you read A. It is required of all science majors. B. It will never be shown again. C. It can help viewers improve their memory skills. D. It will help with coursework. The best answer to the question, why does the speaker recommend watching the program, is D. It will help with coursework. Therefore, the correct choice is D. Now we will begin Part C with the first talk.
Questions 38 through 41. Listen to part of a lecture in a developmental psychology class.
Developmental psychologists study people as they age and develop. So, the obvious research approach would be to study a group of participants over several years, right? This is called a longitudinal study, where we observe the same participants repeatedly over time. For example, suppose you want to study shyness in children. To see, say, if children who are shy at age 3 become less shy as they grow. Well, you'd start with some 3-year-olds and observe them at various times over several years. Now, here we're faced with some practical issues. Such research takes years to complete. Will researchers be available that long? What about the participants? Will they be available the whole time? How big a group do you need to start with to ensure there will be enough participants at the end of the study? There are 2 other research approaches, the cross-sectional study and the cohort study. The cross-sectional study observes children of different ages at a single point in time. So back to our study of shyness in children. A cross-sectional approach would ask a different question, something like, is the average 3-year-old shyer than the average 6-year-old? This is research you could conduct in a limited period of time. But remember, the approach you use, longitudinal or cross-sectional, affects the focus and the design of your study. This is also true of the third approach, the cohort approach. Children born in the same year are called cohorts. Let's see how this approach would work in our shyness study.
Number 38. What does the professor mainly discuss? Number 39. What question is investigated by the research studies that the professor describes? Number 40. What is one of the problems with longitudinal studies that the professor mentions? Number 41. How would a cross-sectional study observe children? Questions 42 through 46. Listen to part of a lecture in a geoscience class.
Gravity is not constant on Earth. One way it varies is with Earth's mass in a particular location. For example, an area with greater mass, like a mountain range, well, gravity will be stronger there. These anomalies, these differences in gravity from place to place, are measured by highly accurate instruments on a pair of satellites. These instruments generate what are called gravity anomaly maps. Gravity anomaly maps show, as I said, that gravity is strongest over mountain ranges, and it's weaker over places like depressions in the Earth's surface or over water-filled areas like oceans or aquifers. Aquifers are underground formations that hold water and are often the main source of water for people across large geographical areas. Gravity over most types of rock is pretty stable, but it fluctuates over water because water volumes vary as a result of evaporation, precipitation, and human activity. For instance, gravity anomaly maps show that aquifers supplying California's agricultural region are shrinking. Underground waters being used for irrigation and human consumption faster than it can be replenished by rainwater or melting snow. By precisely measuring tiny gravitational changes over an aquifer on a monthly basis, the satellites tell us when an aquifer is at risk of going dry. Then, water conservation efforts can be put in place to reduce the amount of water being taken out of the aquifer. Similarly, gravity anomaly maps can reveal information about Earth's changing climate. For example, changes in sea level can be seen in minute gravitational fluctuations.
Number 42. What does the professor mainly discuss? Number 43. What does the professor emphasize about the instruments on the satellites he mentions? Number 44. According to the professor, where is Earth's gravitational force the strongest? Number 45. What do gravity anomaly maps indicate about California's agricultural region? Number 46. What does the professor say about climate change? Questions 47 through 50. Listen to part of a talk in a United States history class.
While we're on the topic of things that technology has made obsolete, I'd like to spend a few minutes on the ice industry, one of the major industries in the United States in the 1800s. Now, before refrigerators came into common use, people in rural areas often had a well or a spring house to keep perishable foods fresh. We're all too young to have used one, but a spring house was a small building that people would build over a spring. Farm families back then would rely on cold water from the spring to help keep dairy products or meat cool. But people in cities would have ice boxes instead, and they'd buy blocks of ice to put in these ice boxes, and then they'd pack all their milk or meat inside to keep it fresh. So, until refrigerators made it obsolete, the ice industry supplied city dwellers with these blocks of ice. Now, by 1800, people had learned how to harvest blocks of ice from lakes and ponds, and later to cover this ice with hay and store it in ice houses. These ice houses were enormous, among the largest structures anywhere in the country at that time. Ice houses were so important that they often had railroad tracks going right up next to them. In addition to being transported by train, ice was delivered by ship, all along the East Coast, or further inland by canal boat. Eventually, the industry supplied blocks of ice to almost any place in the country where people could afford such a luxury.
Number 47. What is the talk mainly about? Number 48. What does the speaker imply about spring houses? Number 49. According to the speaker, what made the ice industry obsolete? Number 50. What was the purpose of an icebox?
This is the end of Section 1, Listening Comprehension. Stop work on Section 1. End of recording.